Hey everyone, welcome to Ajay Discusses Movies, a show in which I discuss movies, both old and new. Today we're discussing a new film that just dropped in the theaters this past weekend, and that movie is titled Project Hail Mary, directed by Phil Lord and Christopher Miller. The film stars Ryan Gosling as Grace, as he, against his will, decides to go up into space because of a medically induced coma. There, he discovers the astrophage, which is a substance that is found on Mercury and several other parts of the solar system that is critical and deathly, not just for planet Earth, but for life as we know it. And up in space, he befriends a five-legged alien he calls Rocky. And the film is essentially a depiction of the adventures, the twists and turns that both Rocky and Ryan Gosling's character go through. So, this film is directed by Christopher Miller and Phil Lord. Both of these individuals were responsible for 21 Jump Street, 22 Jump Street, as well as Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. And they also had an unspecified credit towards the Solo: A Star Wars Story movie that premiered in 2018. This is adapted from a 2021 book titled Project Hail Mary, written by Andy Weir. And in terms of my overall thoughts on this movie, I enjoyed it. I liked it. I thought it was a fun movie. And despite the 2 hour and 36-minute runtime of this movie, it doesn't feel like that. And what really held this movie together was the performance of Ryan Gosling as well as the cast with this film. So that was definitely the best part about this entire film, was just Ryan Gosling's nonsensical approach towards his acting that really played well on screen. The humorous tones in terms of how he's able to illustrate his character really played a role in terms of not only delving into his relationship with the five-legged alien that he would meet, but also his adventure in space. So let's get into the positives, right? I think one of the best parts of this entire movie was the soundtrack. The soundtrack is what made this movie stand out on its own. At times, this soundtrack is bombastic, it's jarring. It's done by Daniel Pemberton. This is a man who is responsible for films such as The Materialist, Eddington. He's also scoring the new movie, The Drama, that's coming out later this week. The soundtrack is what really allows this film to flourish. Now, when I was reading reviews for this movie, a lot of individuals were complaining about the soundtrack, and they were complaining about how it's too jarring and how it's too in your face, that it gets in the way of the movie. I disagree. I think that the soundtrack is extremely needed in this movie, because with a film of this caliber, with this budget, you need something that really glues the entire project together, and that was done through the soundtrack. The cinematography is also really stellar. Greg Frazier, I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name. He's also responsible for lensing the Dune films. He was impeccable in this film. He's able to bring the settings to screen and just seeing the images that unfold on screen really show just how larger than life the entire setting was for this story. We briefly alluded to Ryan Gosling earlier in this review, but he's one of the most versatile actors in Western media, in my opinion. I really do think so. Not only do we see the more serious roles of Ryan Gosling through Blue Valentine, La La Land, Place Beyond the Pines, Only God Forgives, but we're also able to see the more humorous parts of his acting through films such as The Nice Guys, as well as Barbie.
Right, look, when you're talking to your doctor, just tell him you have a spiral fracture of the left radius.
No! No!
Deep breath.
And this film is definitely a depiction of the latter than the former. So if you're going in there expecting Ryan Gosling at his most campy, you'll enjoy it. And while watching this film, I mentioned this when it came to Solo: Star Wars movie, but this felt like the best unofficial Han Solo movie. It did. A lot of individuals will say this is like the layman's terms of Interstellar. I can understand where their mind is when it comes to that, but it did feel like I was watching Ryan Gosling cosplay as Han Solo. It really did feel like that. And it really embraces the sci-fi adventure to its most cheesy of parts. Lionel Boyce is also an actor in this film, and he is from Odd Future fame, and I thought he really played an important piece in terms of humbling Ryan Gosling in this film. So congrats to Lionel Boyce. So yeah, those are the positives to this film. It's definitely a film that, even though it has a lot of science jargon that you sort of shake to yourself and think, okay, like, we don't really need that much science jargon, especially when it comes to the fact that it just over-explained it a little too much. It was still a film that I thought was great, not just for myself, but for the average general movie-going audience. Right now, this film is sitting pretty well on the box office. It's making its money back. It looks like it's going to make its money back in the box office. And I think part of the reason is because of the caliber of an actor that Ryan Gosling is, and how he's able to really allow you to immerse yourself in the experience of the movie that you're watching. This is one of the most versatile actors I've seen so far, and he's really able to embrace it to the T. Now, in terms of negatives, there really aren't that many negatives to this film. The only negative that I would give it is that there are times in which the humor is a little too cheeky for my taste. It's a little too out there for my taste. And while the audience was definitely laughing at the jokes and LARPing it up, to me, I sort of wanted a more sort of, I wouldn't say character breakdown, but more of a character study of Ryan Gosling's character. I wanted more of Ryan Gosling for who he is, the mind state of what he's going through. Heading into this film, I didn't really watch any of the trailers, but when I thought of Project Hail Mary, I was sort of, I wouldn't say I was expecting Alien, but I was sort of looking at it in a way of, okay, this is a sci-fi film that may morph itself into a sci-fi horror film. There are actually moments in this film in which it kind of scares you. The unknown scares you, and there are times in which there are jump sequences. There are jump scares in this film. Obviously, there's one in particular that's like very out there and sort of ruffles you up. But that was sort of what I was expecting. But even though it didn't meet the expectation that I had in terms of what I thought the film was going to be, it was still a good film regardless. But yeah, I mean, the humor of it, I felt as if kind of took away and undercut certain emotional moments in the film that I thought were a little bit more needed. Now, in terms of rewatchability factor, I'll be honest with you, I don't see myself returning back to this film. It is a good film. I do enjoy it, and I think you guys should watch it because it is a non-IP related film, and we need films of this nature, of this caliber, with this kind of budget to make its money back in the box office. I don't see myself returning back to this film. It's a good film. I enjoyed it. I just don't see myself returning back to it. So, overall thoughts, final thoughts on this film. I thought it was fun. I thought it was enjoyable. I think you guys should watch it. It's definitely a film that will excite a general audience to watch it. I hope individuals that watch this film watch Mickey 17 because that film dealt with similar themes and aspects, but didn't make its money back in the box office. And to me, I would much rather prefer rewatching Mickey 17 over Project Hail Mary, even though one might argue Project Hail Mary is the better film. So that's all in terms of the review. I hope you guys enjoyed. The bookshop has been updated with JFK's A Nation of Immigrants, a very prescient book for today's time. And it's rather short. It's like 70, 80 pages long. So definitely go read it. I will be discussing the drama later this week. I've seen the trailers. I've seen Robert Pattinson's interview on Jimmy Kimmel Live.
I'm going to go through a list of some of your lies. And now you can tell me if I have any of this, but as far as I know, these are not true. You told me repeatedly that you were living under an archway in Venice under trash can lids. No, right?
There was an archway in my house.
I'm apprehensive, to say the least. I don't know what to expect from the movie. If it's like The Materialist, I'll enjoy it, because I did like The Materialist. Speaking of Daniel Pemberton, I did like The Materialist. So we'll see how that goes. But other than that, guys, thank you so much. I'll see you soon. Bye.